Hi, I'm Simo and I'm the product manager of ATR CustomTools. I created this tutorial for all you who want to try or already have a SOLIDWORKS Odoo ERP integration. You can try this integration completely for free with no strings attached. The tutorial starts with all the basics and moves gradually to more advanced things. When you later come back to this video, you might find the YouTube timestamps quite handy. Following this video, you will be able to set up what I believe is the world's leading SOLIDWORKS and SOLIDWORKS PDM Odoo ERP integration. Enjoy! To integrate SOLIDWORKS with Odoo, you'll need ATR CustomTools. Navigate to atrsoft.com/customtools and start a free trial. Fill in your details and submit. Within a few minutes, you should receive an email to the address you provided at the registration. The Odoo integration is not enabled by default. The trial for that needs to be requested separately. Copy your serial number and request our support to enable the Odoo integration module for you. Download ATR CustomTools. The link is in the email. The local standalone installation is quite straightforward. ATR CustomTools is a database-centric application, and usually the whole design team shares the same environment. The network environment setup requires a bit more IT management. However, the standalone is actually perfect for evaluation purposes, so let's go with that. Standalone installs the SQL server for local machine, so it's a full ATR CustomTools environment, but just local. This makes it possible to easily take the evaluation configuration later in use for the whole design team. Standalone installation also does some additional pre-configuration, just to make the onboarding a bit more easy. Now you could just launch SOLIDWORKS. ATR CustomTools launches with it and shows some tutorials. But let me first introduce you to the ATR CustomTools administration tool. License activation is done once. If you didn't yet get the Odoo integration added to your serial, you will need to launch the license activation wizard again later. Accept the end user license agreement and the privacy policy. Nothing fishy here, we are proudly transparent. Welcome to use ATR CustomTools administration. The local server is already set and the database called CustomTools has been created. Double-click the database to log in, and since this is your first login, you will be prompted to verify your details. Now you have a user created and you're logged in. Next up, let's get Odoo ERP. That is if you don't have it yet. Navigate to odoo.com. Try it free and find the manufacturing module. Fill in your details to get the access. Great job! If you had an existing ATR CustomTools environment, you should create a new empty profile. But if you just installed ATR CustomTools, you can ignore this next section. Open ATR CustomTools administration, log into your database, right-click Profiles and create profile. Now let's set up the ATR CustomTools Odoo ERP demo integration. License to the integration module is required. Navigate to Profile Options and to the Odoo ERP integration page. If it's not there, then you don't have the license. Copy the address to your Odoo instance. It is the endpoint, and the database is usually the first part of the URL. Connect and demo integration. Let's take a look at the credentials now. The integration user must have administrator role for the manufacturing module. And API keys are the recommended connection method. Go to My Profile, Account Security, and scroll down to the API keys. New API key, verify it's you, give it a description, and how long it's valid. Generate. Never give out your key. I'm going to revoke this one later. Copy it, and use it as the password for the integration. Now the integration configures itself. And the basic configuration is now done. Let's now take a look how your models fit to this configuration. Now in SOLIDWORKS we can use ATR CustomTools to investigate properties of different components. But all of them appear empty, and that's because the demo integration profile does not match with your existing custom properties. Let's investigate the existing custom properties of the model. Looks like this drawing number could be our unique part number, and the description 1, the name of the product. Let's go to Profile Options and adjust the attributes of the existing model properties accordingly. It's the attribute that needs to match with the existing custom properties, and the label is just shown for the user at the Properties panel. Looking good. In the demo integration, the internal reference property is the unique identifier of each Odoo product, so it has to be unique for each component. The unit listing and category listing are coming from Odoo. Existing designs will not have any usable data for these. You can easily write property values for multiple components at the same time using the copy feature. It can do batch copying, but it can also do batch property writing. Ensure the action is write property values. This action will write modify properties on this left panel for all the selected documents on the right panel. Units is a default unit value in Odoo, and goods category seems like the best fit. Apply and proceed. What if you already have a product in Odoo and you want to define that this design is that product? If you would just type in the reference number, then the other properties wouldn't be in sync. Also, to get the reference number, you would have to open up Odoo and find it. Instead, use this button here. It will allow you to query all the existing products in Odoo and easily link all of the properties at the same time. But let's cancel these changes for now. Now let's try export. Red means bad. It looks like the internal reference and the name are still empty here. We changed the attributes of the properties, but we didn't change the attributes of the export profile. They are separated because you can have multiple export profiles exporting different sets of data. Now the fields are correctly linked. I just cleaned up my Odoo and I have no products or BOMs there. Let's change that. We have drawings here as well. The demo integration is configured to convert the drawings into PDF, and they will be uploaded as attachments of the products. Converting documents to other formats will take some time, since all the products are new, so all drawings must be converted. Upload to Odoo started now. Here you can see the actual performance of the integration. It is of course somewhat network dependent, but we have optimized our integration to be very efficient, and we have customers exporting multi-level assemblies of thousands of components. Small assemblies have some overhead compared to big ones, but we just created over 20 products in less than 20 seconds, including the previews and the uploaded PDF documents and building the bill of materials. The integration also sets those uploaded product attachments visible in the bill of material, so you can easily navigate through the manufacturing documentation of the whole bill of material. Now there's product data in two different places, the CAD and the ERP. So how do we keep them in sync? Let's change name of this product and see what happens. And let's then refresh the export view, which can be done quickly by reselecting the export profile. Yellow indicates that the design will modify the Odoo product. So the name just updates back to what it was, which could be confusing for the ERP people. The design team and the ERP team should always have an agreement on which side is the data master. In our integration, you can define the data master for each field separately. By default, SOLIDWORKS is the data master for each field, but we can set that Odoo is the master of this specific field. And we can also set that this is going to be imported back to the model, so it actually updates the CAD models as well. For quick demonstration, let's now change the name of 3 different Odoo products. Purple fields indicate that the value has changed in Odoo and it's going to be imported back to the model. So the current operation is basically patch import rather than patch export. Bill of material changes are a bit more tricky. Let's suppress a bunch of components and see what happens. Compared to the current design, Odoo BOM now has excess components, and export shows them in red, indicating it's about to remove them. This is pretty much exactly as expected. But what if we supplement the BOM at Odoo? For instance, to add some component that we don't want to design. Current settings make SOLIDWORKS the master of BOM, and as such all excess BOM lines are removed by default, but the designer may choose to keep them manually. So this export really didn't do anything. But it also means those manual actions need to be done for every single export, which is quite error-prone. Those excess BOM lines are called ghost items. It can be changed how they are treated by default. When you have delete ghost items by default, then the design is the master of the Odoo BOM. Disable it and it will become insert and update only, which allows supplementing the BOM at Odoo so that the items added are not going to be removed by the export. But it has a drawback that removed CAD components are not going to be removed from the BOM either. Now the export shows the excess BOM lines, but ignores them by default. Unless of course the designer makes a manual action to delete them. Again, this export did nothing. Just to clean things up a bit, let me quickly show that we can easily recover also after major changes to the bill of material. I'll just unsuppress those components to reintroduce them and rerun the export. How about supplementing the BOM with non-designed items at SOLIDWORKS? For that, you can use our integration feature, Virtual Items. But first we need to introduce the same attribute changes to those that we did for the model properties and the export fields. Otherwise, they're just not going to map correctly. Virtual items allow adding already existing Odoo products into the export BOM of any component. This is a live Odoo product search, and I'm searching all the products which name contains glue. After selecting it, I define its quantity. I can supplement this BOM with as many Odoo products as I want. Let's find some nails. Let's do this last search without any search terms, so we can see all of the Odoo products. Glue, nails, and paint will be now added to the BOM. Virtual item BOM can be created to any component, which means you can create also raw material BOMs for parts. Let's quickly create some product to Odoo that represents this simple raw material, rod 2 meters. Let's then visit the properties of this lifting rod part. It's obviously made out of that raw material that we just created, so let's search for that. It's 2 meters long, but we only need to consume about half of that. The virtual BOM is no different from any other BOM. The lifting rod will have a BOM at Odoo, and it will contain the defined amount of the selected raw material product. Now we can easily see in Odoo where this raw material is used, and also obviously the BOM for the part. If we search for the main assembly, we can see the entire BOM structure from the BOM overview. The demo integration is made simple on purpose. You can easily extend it. This integration is a low-code solution where you can map whatever you want. Enable debugging at Odoo to expose field names. For instance, you can very easily pull existing products' sales prices to the export. Let's just create an export field for that. Value type, and let's just give it any arbitrary name. Here, we will search for that Odoo product field we want this value to be mapped to. Here it is, list price. And we will also set that the Odoo product is the master of this data. All of the sales prices are 1, so let's add something more interesting here. And here it is. To import the value to models, the export field must be bound to an attribute. So let's create a new model property with a new attribute. Maybe it also should be read-only for designers. Now let's bind the export field to the attribute and property we just created. Change the value type to ATR CustomTools attribute and search for the specific attribute. Also set that the value brought to the export view should be imported to the models. Now we can see almost all of them getting updated. easy. Even an ocean of options is often not enough. What we have learned past 25 years is that everyone does things a little bit differently. ATR CustomTools has a scripting framework that allows overriding or extending its features, including its built-in integrations. Very common customization requests are related to versions, revisions and ECOs, vendors, operations, and especially legacy data handling and mapping. SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional users might be happy to learn that the same integration works also in PDM Professional. To set it up, open the administration tool and add new add-in. From the Custom Tools installation path, you can find the add-in DLLs. Select them and open. Right-click the new add-in and enter Setup. Make sure it's connected to the correct database and profile. Next, we will have to configure the task host machine. At the task host machine, open the task host configuration and permit the execution of the Custom Tools task add-in. Now at Administration tool, create a new task. Give an arbitrary name, for instance, Export to Odoo. Select the add-in to be the Custom Tools task add-in and use a higher privilege user. Select the task host machine and at ATR Custom Tools task page, add an export task to the context menu. Query available export profiles from the connected Custom Tools environment. I'll leave it now as on client export. This is the same interactive export that we already saw in SOLIDWORKS. The on host export is done completely on background at the task host machine. And that's the option you should use when the integration launch is controlled with a workflow state transition. But this is now the interactive on-client export added to the context menu. PDM users must have Custom Tools or at least Custom Tools client components installed to be able to launch the export. All products and BOMs already exist in Odoo because we exported them earlier from SOLIDWORKS. Let's go to Odoo and for the sake of good demo, delete all existing bills of materials and also all products that were earlier created by the integration. And let's refresh the export. Everything looks the same as it was in SOLIDWORKS. However, the actual export works a little bit differently. Because we don't have SOLIDWORKS engine behind us, we cannot do the document conversions immediately. Instead, we do it in two phases. In this first phase, we are sending the products and the bills of materials. When that's done, we notify the user that the process is actually going to continue at the task host machine. So at this point, all the products and bills of materials are already in Odoo. But if you look at the bill of material, we will notice that none of the documents have arrived yet. If we look at the PDM task list, we should see the export task waiting for computer to run on or already in progress. It's running on my computer, so we will probably see SOLIDWORKS launching very soon. Usually, a dedicated server computer is used as a task host machine. When the document conversions are done, they will be uploaded to Odoo to correct products. For traceability, everything that the integration does is logged under the task. And now our products also have their documents. What if you don't have a drawing number or a part number or any other such property that you could use as a reference for those Odoo parts? Well, in ATR CustomTools, you can define sequences that generate unique numbers. Let's give it a name, maximum value, next value, and a format that is preferably easily recognizable as coming from SOLIDWORKS and Custom Tools. Next, let's configure this sequence in use to our internal reference property. At the functions page, we first need to remove the getDatabaseItem button function. And this is the live search to Odoo. Instead, let's use the get code here. Few pages ahead, we can constrain that only the Odoo reference sequence is allowed to be used with this property. To keep the live product search feature, let's add the getDatabaseItem button function to the description property. Now we can again use copy and its write property values action to batch generate unique serials for all the components of this assembly. Now they all have a unique internal reference number. Now let's cancel this and go even further. Revisioning is often required, but let me remind you that everyone does it a little bit differently. I'm going to show you a very simple configuration. Let's start by calling our drawing number an actual drawing number property because it has the sequences that we just generated. Then let's create also a revision property. Now this property could get its value from, for instance, PDM, or you could just type it in. Then we need a third property, which is the actual Odoo reference property. The aim is to generate the Odoo reference number based on both the drawing number and the revision. For that, we need a model combination. Let's give it any arbitrary name and define that it's our drawing number dash revision. And then let's define that our Odoo reference property gets its value from this combination. This is done by defining a data function getCombinationValue. And since we now changed which property holds the Odoo reference, we also need to update the export profile accordingly. The Odoo reference value is still empty in the designs, but we can again use the write property values action to update it. All we have to do is set the revision here. That will trigger the update of the combination, which will be unique for each individual part as they have their own drawing number. Now let's export and see how the revisioning behaves. The first export has nothing special in it. We're just creating those Odoo products so that the reference has the revision letter. Let's now simulate the situation that one of these components in this assembly is going to have a new revision. I'm just going to manually change the revision letter of this console. Notice how the Odoo reference changes with it. But since I don't have any sort of ECO process enabled at Odoo, for traceability I want to also revision the main assembly. Since the revision changed for the console and the assembly, they will be treated as new products. And now we have both revision A and revision B BOMs at Odoo. As a side note, it's quite common customization requests to archive the old revisions automatically. This is something that cannot be easily configured because again, everyone does revisioning a little bit differently. Quite often the Engineering BOM, which is what you have in the CAD, is not a perfect representation of the Item BOM, which is expected at the ERP. For instance, this woofer element is a purchased component, so from the ERP perspective it should be a single item, but here it has BOM and child components. On the other hand, this casing assembly has completely relevant components in it, but the assembly itself is not a relevant item that should have its own BOM. We can easily create such BOM modifier rules, but we first need to have something we base those rules on. Let's start by defining some selectables for the designers. In ATR CustomTools, lookup lists define the content for combo box properties. Let's create a simple list called component types. Let's add item, non-item, and purchased. The idea here is that item would be a default selection that doesn't really do anything. Non-item dissolves components, which is the same as excluding them if they don't have any child components. And purchased would exclude the child components. Now that we have this list, let's create a property that allows selecting from it. Let's call it component type and set the type as combo box. At the second last page, define the lookup list to use. Let's also add that new property to our export profile, but I'm just not going to define those BOM modifiers yet. Now the designer can simply define that the component type of this woofer element is purchased, and that the component type of this outer casing is non-item. The rules that we want is that exclude these components if the parent component type is purchased. That will leave only the purchased component. And the second rule is that a non-item component should be dissolved, which will exclude it but keep its children. This is the item BOM that the ERP people would be happy to have. Let's set those rules. Each export profile field can be configured to modify the BOM. You can find those at the Extended Settings tab. Open the help for Odoo ERP integration and navigate to Field Settings. Here you can find the documentation of the exclude, dissolve and promote rules. They support quite a nice set of features, but what we need is the parent operator. Exclude when parent is purchased. And the second rule, dissolve if it's non-item. Perfect. As a last thing of this tutorial, let's take a look at some common errors. If you see any of those red intimidating lines at the export, you can right-click and investigate what's wrong. Here we have an error that the name field has inconsistent values in the current structure. It means that in this structure there are at least two components that represent the same Odoo product, but they have different names. Now, this is actually quite common if you haven't been careful how you use configurations. But in this case, the internal reference is clearly mistyped for that second component. Let's quickly fix that. Here's another common case. In case of multiple errors, always start from the top. And this error means that the integration found two BOMs for this product and it doesn't know which one it's supposed to be using. We must always be able to map to exactly one thing, whether it's a BOM, product, variant, or even a field like unit or category. In case multiple BOMs are really needed, we need to be able to uniquely define which one is used by the integration. A very good option is to use the reference field. It can be defined as a BOM identifier, so the integration drops out all the other BOMs that don't have this reference. Let's set it up. Create a new value type export profile field. Set the value as is agreed to be the BOM reference. Then navigate to Odoo BOMs tab and find the reference field. The important option is to define it as an identifier field. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Remember that ATR CustomTools includes technical support for its 30-day trial, so don't hesitate to contact us in case you need any help. On behalf of the ATR CustomTools team, thank you and have a nice day.